What's good everyone, it's Zigzag here, welcome back to another Geoguessr video. Today we are playing some A Totally Normal Zoom World, which is a map where every location is fully zoomed in on a random direction. So this map is super difficult and getting a 24,000 score is something that has eluded me thus far. My best ever score is 22,000 points. So 24,000 points is the goal. I'm not sure if such a thing is actually even possible. I'm assuming it is, but it's going to be a real challenge. And here is our first round of the day. So I'm noticing like a bunch of these kind of, I don't even know what these plants are, maybe like olive trees or something like that, but definitely typical, I would say, of Spain mostly. And then you could also see it in like Italy and Greece too, maybe even Turkey. We have tall wooden poles here, so that would make me think of Greece. Although the landscape definitely made me think more so of Spain. So it's between those two countries in my opinion. And I think with these tall wooden poles, we have to trust Greece. I'm just trying to think where I'd put it. Probably like around Larissa maybe or something like that. So let's give that a go. And it was actually Crete there. That makes sense as to why it was so dry. We'll play on, but obviously no 24k on this occasion. We've already dropped 1,000 points. Next one here, the black and white curbs are interesting. I think, if we can see at the top of the screen here, this kind of metallic pole would say that we're going to be somewhere in Turkey. And actually, this is a Turkish brand of car. I forget what they're called, but yeah, we have like a bunch of the Turkish brand of car here. So, in which case, this kind of winterish coverage with some like pine trees there. I'm going to go for Uşak here. And it was actually in Bulgaria. I was really certain that that was Turkey, but you do get similar poles in Bulgaria. Were they Turkish cars? I guess that's the question. I think they may have been, so that may have been just a massive bait round there. Regardless, next one here is almost feeling a bit Asian off the bat here. Maybe I thought these might be rice fields. I think they are. And that would definitely make sense here. Now, this kind of infrastructure here, this kind of rusted stuff almost felt a bit Soviet to me. So I did initially think of like maybe Vladivostok area with this vegetation, but ultimately, I do think this is further south in Asia, so maybe Thailand. With the rice fields, obviously Java makes sense here, so obviously we're not on the best score here. I'm just going to try Java, and it was Thailand instead. Yeah, that was pretty much my two main thoughts there. We'll go quickly now. This pole top, which is probably behind my webcam, looks a bit Eastern European. It's the Italian, it's the old Italian style, but I think also the road quality would say more Eastern Europe here. So maybe Serbia or something like that. You often see it, and that was actually in Ukraine instead. Okay, and the last one here is, I thought of Bangladesh, maybe Philippines, maybe something in Colombia. Those countries always seem to be very difficult when you're not facing the road. I don't know, based on the people, maybe Philippines or Bangladesh would fit better here. So I'm going to try Philippines. I think it's more likely. And wow, what an insane guess. 23 kilometers away. So that was a nice one to finish off there. We got a 15,900 score. Obviously very far from the 24k I want, but I do think it's possible. And honestly, just playing, even if I don't get crazy scores, is just fun on this anyway to me. So next one here is North America with these yellow lines. Poles are a little bit hard to make out here. So we're gonna have to go based on the trees, which feel a bit further north, it must be said. Also, signage feels a bit American to me, rather than Canadian, I would say. So I was thinking Wisconsin, Minnesota, something like that here, Michigan, that kind of three states came to mind here with this kind of coverage and those kind of trees. Maybe I'm thinking more of Minnesota here. I think I'm thinking more of Minnesota, so I'll go for that. And it was actually all the way down in Mississippi, so we're going to reset there. We want a better score than that. I mean, I want to start off with at least a decent one, so it gives us a shot at a PB. So here is our next round. USA again, and this time maybe giving me more of a Western vibe, I think. Some of these houses, it almost feels a bit Californian, but maybe these trees feel a bit further north, so I'm not really quite sure about that. Could always be British Columbia as well. So do I go Portland, Seattle, maybe like Sacramento, San Francisco area? I don't know, any of those options seem decent to me. I think I actually may go Washington State here instead though, so I'm not really sure how good Tacoma is here. We do have Eastern Mountains, so that fits really nicely. So I'll try Tacoma, and it was actually Anchorage there. So we retain our country streak, but obviously the score is far too poor to continue on there. I guess the trees did feel kind of northern, but I was not going to get that correct, I think. Okay, next one here is really interesting, because these looked like, you know, your standard Taiwanese poles, but the quality here is so poor that I'm assuming this must be India, right? I mean, the buildings do look Indian, so that wouldn't really surprise me. Landscape-wise, probably feels a bit further north, so, I mean, we're just gonna have to take a punt here. I'm gonna go on luck now, and it was actually all the way in Taiwan. Why? That must have been unofficial coverage, right? Because that was such poor quality, like unbelievably poor. But I got baited out of a probably would have been a nice points guess. But there you go. Next one here, big highway makes me think of Turkey. I think I'm gonna send it right in here, and just go like near Istanbul somewhere. And okay, it was actually Skopje area there. That makes sense. The divided highways are quite common in North Macedonia as well. Here we have what looks to be like some ladies. Maybe that's a headdress, so it could be Indonesia here, but definitely kind of Asian-looking attire. I definitely think Indonesia's good here, especially with the unmarked road, kind of very dense vegetation all the way to the edge of the road. Bali, Lombok, something like that here work quite nicely with this many palms. Maybe even Sulawesi or just on Java here. I'm going to try Lombok, and it was Lombok, 17 kilometers away. Super start, so this could be turning into a crazy seed if we get a few nice guesses from here. This one is fortunately also gettable because we have these Bulgarian pole tops here. Now, it's very dry. I think there's two main areas that work here. The obvious one to go for is like the north section here along the Danube, right? It's the Danube there. And then the other section that could work is near Turkey. I think I like the north section better here with this kind of rolling landscape. You do get that quite a lot on the banks of the Danube, but which side is always the question. We could hedge for our 24K, but ultimately I kind of think it's more this direction or this direction. And maybe I like this direction better. I think I do. Let's try it. What's the other direction? Damn it. So 4.2 is still a good score, but the scoring is also pretty harsh on this map, so it's going to be difficult to get 24K from here. Next one here, just the middle of Romania with these poles and this architecture, so I'm just going to send it in here. Let's see if we're right. It was a pretty good score, 4.4. We're going to miss out on that top score, but we can still get PB here. And we have Taiwanese poles again here. This time it's not going to bait us. And we have mountains to our west here, so this actually probably puts us in the east of the country. Something like this should work fine, I reckon, so I'm just going to go for it. It was indeed the east of the country. Man, we can still get 23. We can still get a high 23K here, so let's see what we get. And the last one here is going to be Indonesia. Now, immediate thought is Sumatra, just with the oil palms here. And I think the pole top does fit as well, so that's nice. But I don't think I have too much else to add here. This is another one where you pretty much just kind of go in Riau or Jambi here and call it a day. So yeah, I might go Southern Riau here. Let's see if we're right. And it was Riau indeed. So a really, really nice game there. 23,000 points. It is a new PB. Now, we lost 800 points here. So if we had have accidentally 5K'd that, we would have been just shy of the 24K. Everything else, I don't really change my guess. So look at the map there. That's a really nice game. Let's head through here again and see if we can kind of recreate that magic, because that was a really nice, especially in Asia there. Perfect guesses. Okay, next one here. Immediate thought was somewhere in Svalbard, but I'm just trying to think if anything else is possible here. This could be a Canada or something like that. Maybe the elevation is a bit strange for Svalbard, but I still think that's most likely. Now, is it Longyearbyen or is it Barentsburg? Is that right? Barentsburg's the Russian one, right? So I feel like that almost might be more likely. With North Ocean, both of them fit. I think Longyearbyen is still more probable than it was there. Okay, just further towards the airport. So honestly, a perfect start there. Let's see what we get next. Next one here. So, ooh, I'll tell you what I thought of. Oh, I have very conflicting opinions here. So Sri Lanka came to mind first, but then also Dominican Republic. But I'm looking at this architecture in the background. I think it's more Sri Lankan, right? So does everything else fit? I mean, the architecture is a bit strange, but it's just this thing in the background that looked quite Asian to me. And this, like, kind of all the ads on the pole as well kind of feel quite Sri Lankan. So I still like it, but ultimately there's a high chance that we bow out here. Regardless, I'm going to go for it because I think it's most likely. So just somewhere up in the mountains here, I guess like this kind of region here could work quite nicely. I'm going to go right there. And it was Thailand. Oh, it was actually in... Oh, that was going to be a very hard Laos to get. I'm just trying to think. Do I see anything there that would have given me Laos? I mean, the poles in Sri Lanka and Laos are pretty much the same, so I think that's also why I was kind of tempted to go there. But ultimately, I thought it was quite, like, elevated. It looked like it was, so I thought Vientiane's kind of flatter. Regardless, I didn't even get a Thai vibe, so we were never going to get that right. But let's see what this seed would have been. Next one here. Kind of thicker, like, short lines here. This is very interesting to me. Baltics came to mind first, but I'm starting to think that that's less likely. But then maybe, I mean, what would these center lines actually mean? I don't think it's Sweden. But then again, I'm struggling to come up with something better. So maybe this is actually Baltic and it's just kind of weird road lines. I'm thinking like Latvia, Lithuania here. So I'm gonna go Latvia, and it was Lithuania. That's fair enough. 4.4K is still good. Next one here, right-hand drive. Could we actually be in the Dominican Republic this time? I think like Mexico is more likely, but actually we have like a South American bin outside the house here. It's like a little like metallic cage that they have. So I would actually say it's gonna be Brazil then, maybe. So I've really gone through the motions here. I thought of like every country that this could really be. But yeah, I think so. So I might go like just outside Sao Paulo here. Is that right? Okay, it was Puerto Rico. That makes sense. It actually did have a bit of an American vibe about it in hindsight, but couldn't pick it up. And the last one here, just gonna be France with those road lines, I would assume, and it was indeed. Okay, so there we go. That was 15K, obviously nowhere near our 23K. I mean, 23K on this map, I challenge you, if you're just watching and you're a decent player yourself, to give that a go, because I think it's a pretty good score. But anyway, next one here, New Zealand bollards right here. This kind of ultra dense vegetation with the mist and everything, it's definitely reminding me of this north area of the South Island here. Maybe in this kind of mountain pass here. Maybe up towards Nelson or something like that here, so anything like that really works to me. Also, the fact that it's north-south here makes me feel quite good about just guessing this. But then again, I mean, I think a lot of stuff around here is possible, even stuff in the mountains around here, or maybe even around here, but yeah, I feel pretty good about this region. Maybe even further south would be possible, but yeah, let's see if I got the right road or not. And it was further south instead, near Franz Josef. I thought that was generation 3 there, but still a decent score, so we'll continue on. Next one here, just going to be Sweden with these outer dashes. It's very snowy, but a bit hilly. I'm going to click middle here. Ooh, wow. Okay, so, yeah, being so zoomed in made it look like short dashes, but they were actually long ones, the typical Norwegian ones. Italian front license plate here that's a bit shorter. Vibes-wise, a bit further south, I think, but maybe just in the middle of the boot anyway, and it was. Nice, okay. Italy is quite guessable, but just based on how the trees look and that kind of thing, I think, and the climate. Next one here, double yellow lines, maybe Brazil, maybe Peru, maybe Colombia. I think this fence looks very Colombian, right? So I'm just going to try Colombia. We're not on the craziest score here anyway. And it was Brazil in Ceará, that makes sense. And the last one here is Australia, and we can still get a decent score here. Let's try and pull through. Is this South Australia or is it Queensland? I don't know, it gives me weird vibes this round. It's kind of ambiguous, that's for sure. Oh man, it does look like my home state of South Australia, but then again, I don't see any trees that are specifically South Australian looking, so I think I have to go Queensland here, just kind of this southern region, and it was just over in New South Wales. So there we go, a 17K. Definitely some redeeming guesses there, like the Italy, but some of the others weren't quite so good. So let's go back to score chasing here. This kind of green hill mixed with like some oak trees here, this should put us in like the Primorsky Krai region here. Vladivostok should be nearby, I would say. Now, do we have any birches? It almost looks like we have a birch here, so maybe that would put us a bit further north, but I might just go for this kind of thing. I don't know, it could even be up towards Khabarovsk, but I'm just thinking of this kind of like oakish looking tree here. It makes us further south, so I'll go there. And it was the right latitude, just over towards the coast instead. I thought it was kind of urban, but that does make sense ultimately. Next one here, Malaysia with the double whites, I would say. That's a country that uses double white road lines in the center quite often. And then I guess we just kind of guess in the center here because this doesn't really give me a particular vibe. It's lots of palms, but yeah, I don't really know. So I'm just gonna go Selangor here. And it was actually all the way up there near Georgetown, still a good guess. Next one here. Looks like we might be on a divided highway that's being built, so that would make me think Nigeria over Ghana, I think. It could still be Ghana, but I'll go near Benin City here, and it was in that area. Very nice. Just consistently good this time. This is a repeat. I think we've had this location before, maybe. Or maybe it's just the number plate that's reminding me of things, but this one's definitely somewhere in Portugal, and why not try Lisbon if it's a big city? Oh no, it was okay, it was Madeira. Okay, that makes sense. Never getting that. I feel like it might be a repeat. I can't remember though. It's a while since I played this map. And the last one is going to be somewhere in Brazil, I assume. Very red soil, lots of grass. There are other options. It's not that red actually. It's quite brown. So I'm just going to go Brazil. It still seems likely. And it was actually in Adamstown there. I think Lenley would have gotten that right, but unfortunately I did not. So there we go. A decent score there again, but obviously it was never going to be breaking any records, so that's fine. Okay, next one here. Ooh, interesting bollards, right? So these ones look like they're kind of like Serbian style. Could also be like Croatia or something like that here. Croatia honestly feels pretty good. I think it's Serbia or Croatia. I guess the hilliness mixed with the autumn coverage, isn't that like a metaphor around here? I think the autumn coverage. Alternatively, just around here in Croatia. But I'm going to try that, and it was. Nice. Okay, so I think that's a kind of a new meta or something I saw recently, but seems to have worked nicely there for our 24K efforts. Next one here. It's going to be somewhere in... Ooh. It is going to be somewhere in Argentina here. We got these shorter number plates, the one made of black here. It's very urban. I think this is one of the main cities of Argentina. So Buenos Aires, Rosario, Cordoba. One of those three, I would say. And I would say that Buenos Aires is most likely. It is kind of like spread out a little bit. Like it's not like super narrow streets, which I would maybe associate more with the center of BA. But ultimately, this is not a pleasant route. Like you don't really have too much to go off of here. Even the poles are not like painted in a specific way that I could say is unique or anything. So we'll just try BA here. It was BA, so we're off to a flying start here. That has to be said. Next one here is South Australia. Now I really don't want to throw here. So we've got, I know it's South Australia because we've got this trident pole top, which you can only find in New South Wales and South Australia, and it's just much more common in SA. And then if you look at this, it's like kind of a flat pole, so that makes things very likely to be SA. However, whereabouts is a difficult challenge. Now, my initial thought was Naracoorte. Now, is it actually going to be that far south is the question. The kind of rolling landscape is very typical between, I guess you could say, like Kiki and Naracoorte. Like you do get that a lot, even down to Coonawarra. But do the trees feel quite right? It's a good question, because this could just as easily be slightly north of the city, like around Clare or something like that. It's not out of the question. It can be anywhere. Like where I've clicked to Adelaide, I think is like really all quite likely. But I got this Naracoorte vibe. And I do like guessing Naracoorte. When I get the vibe, I do like guessing there. It's like one of the places I've just always had a bit of a vibe for, despite I don't think ever having been there. I think I'm going to give it a go here. This is going to be a big guess if it's right, because I'm actually by no means sure here. But let's give it a go. And it was actually Border Town, so 4.8 there is really good. Yeah, it's that region where you get the slight hills, dryness, but it's honestly more dry than you expect because it's kind of in this green zone. But that's a great score. We can get the 24K here. Ooh, and we get Kenya. Now, Kenya is interesting. Without the Google cart, it is a relatively difficult country to region guess. We have this very dark soil. This kind of dark soil with the palms, with the pines here, would put us like north of Nairobi or around Nairobi, or in this kind of western region. And I think with the absolute darkness of the soil, that the western region is surely a little bit better here. But then again, there's something that is drawing me towards Nairobi as well. It's one of those rounds where I'd really love some car meta to help me out. But unfortunately, it does not exist. So, I think with the flatness, this region here really works. Like south of Kisumu, flatness is real. I would just like it to be a bit more agricultural, because this kind of feels a bit wilder than what I'd like. So, oh man, we could just hedge Nairobi, but the fact that it's flat makes me want to go where I am right now. So, Nakuru is also scary. Nakuru is pretty flat. And Nakuru would be the good hedge if we just want to hedge our bets for the next round, because if we click here and it's here, we get like 4.6, 4.7. We keep the dream alive. And if it's Nairobi, we narrowly keep the dream alive. But yeah, I guess it is a bit less agricultural from what I can see. So maybe the Nakuru hedge is actually in order here, and it could always be Nakuru as well. I don't know, guys. I feel like I'd just be moving off the 5K though. This is the problem. So, right, I hate these 50-50s, man. It's like Geoguessr. It's classic. It's classic. There's so much coverage down here. And yeah, like Nakuru is safer if we're going for that 24K. You know what? That's the goal of the video. I'm going to hedge it here. Let's see. And it was all the way over there. The dream is dead, I think, narrowly. But that was right on the border. This guess would have kept us much more in the game. But I guess that's why it was a bit wilder, because it was right on the border. But, you know, that's like, I don't know if I can really make that inference. But is the dream alive? It is. And we need a damn near 5K score to progress here on a very difficult round. We've got like massive hedgerows, lots of tree canopy going on here. I would say this is southern UK. I get a strong vibe for somewhere around Eastbourne, Southampton, Bournemouth area here. I think the Crawley hedge might be in order here, because that's really the vibe I get here. But Ultimately, this could be anywhere in the UK, France. Yeah, I think those two are the most likely. So I'm going to go for this guess. It feels very warm for UK standards. It's very lush and lots of vegetation going on. I feel like this is a good guess. I feel like we're, you know, had we not hedged on Kenya, I think we make it here. But let's find out. Will we get the 5K? Oh my gosh, we could have just gone Southampton. We may have had it. But that's still a very respectable 23,700. Let's look at that game again. So UK was great. Serbia was great. BA, obviously, we just hedged BA. Kenya, man, oh man, and Australia was great too, so that was very near to greatness, I must say, and it's making me want to go again here. Surely we can get that 24K on this video. Okay, next one here. That is Faroe Islands, I would say. Imagine if we got that this last round of the last game. That would have been insane. But okay, let's go for this here. I'll go Torshavn, something like that. Okay, it's going to be... Actually, wouldn't have been enough, because that's a very difficult region to get. Next one here, I think you just go Ulaanbaatar, honestly. With the big toll bridge and everything, shouldn't be too far from Ulaanbaatar in my opinion. So let's just go like this. And it was, yeah, that's just simple logic. Like, it looked like anywhere in Mongolia, but just too much infrastructure to go elsewhere. So a flying start here. Next one here, single yellow land, so surely Canada. Could we go back-to-back 23K or 24K here? That would be insane. My idea was probably New Brunswick, just with the hilliness, but also the kind of cold vibe. Could just as easily see Newfoundland. Don't really think it's Nova Scotia with the single yellow line. They'd probably go double yellow here. So really it's between those two other ones I mentioned. And I don't really see a good reason to go one over the other here. It's very 50-50 in my opinion. Honestly, if I'm going for 24K, I'd probably just go New Brunswick here just because it is the smaller province. And it makes it a bit more likely, but ultimately, yeah, I think either one's pretty likely here, so let's go for it here. And it was actually all the way in Ontario there, so only 3K this time, unfortunate. Next one here was going to be Argentina anyway, pretty difficult. Interested by the fact that we have like a bit of a hill here going on, so maybe this is La Pampa, maybe even further south, but then again, we have a divided highway here, so I'm actually going to click like on the way to Bahia Blanca here. Let's try that. And it was just near Puerto Madryn there. Definitely got that vibe in terms of the in terms of the climate, but the infrastructure I thought was maybe a bit too much for a small city like Trelew. But I guess it does have like a international airport there and everything. So, and you do get like, there's a lot of farming going on here. So that makes sense. And if you don't know about the Trelew grid meta, then there you go. Like all these farming grids there, which is pretty interesting. And the last one here was always going to be an easy Spain. I think you would guess maybe like here or something like that. And it was southeast instead. So that was a bit of a rough score. Still back-to-back 20Ks, which is always solid, but we want more than that, guys. So let's go for a few more attempts here. I love this map. I really do. It's just great, wholesome fun. And this one, we're on a 10-country streak. We're on a 2-hedge streak as well. Maybe this is a new category. And this one should be like central southern Serbia, in my opinion. Hilly, fairly good road quality, which you often see on the bigger roads in Serbia. B-type guardrail, and these bollards. And I would go here if I was me. And that was actually Croatia. Very surprising to me. I got massive Serbia vibes there. But I guess, you know, there are, I mean, Croatia's using very similar infrastructure, of course, so it doesn't entirely surprise me. Next one here. Is this going to be somewhere in Indonesia or Thailand? Or maybe even Malaysia? I think it's more of an Indo vibe here. It's very dense vegetation over here, so we're probably losing a good amount of points, if we're honest with ourselves. I think Central Kalimantan came to mind. I know they have similar curbs there sometimes, but yeah, maybe this vegetation is too dense for Kalimantan, where it's quite deforested or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what I think of this. It's also like a fairly large body of water. I'm curious to see what this is. Like, anything in Sumatra works. I could even see possibility of Sulawesi here. However, I will try Central Kalimantan. And it was Sula. There we go. Not a bad score, but yeah. Moving on here. This is going to be somewhere in Lith or Poland. I think the road lines might be more Polish here. So I'm going to click down in Poland. And they were indeed Polish. I think 20K is looking less and less likely. Although we do get a fairly free Sri Lanka, which we'll just click middle on. And it was middle. So we can still get our 20K again. And this one's going to be somewhere in Mexico. Now, where in Mexico should this be? It's very, like, rocky, but beyond that, it's not too much. I think Durango Hedge is the way to go here. We'll see, though. And it was nearby, so that's going to be... Oh, man, we just come shy of the 20k there. That's rather... I mean, I could have just hedged in the middle. We would have been fine, but that's all in hindsight. There we go. So I'll go for one more attempt here. One more. Let's go for one more good start. But the hedge streak was almost came good there. Oh, this is interesting. Very red soil, but it doesn't quite feel Brazilian. So, is this Uganda? Maybe. Could this even be like Oklahoma, US? I don't think so, but it's always possible. I thought like Uganda or maybe Kenya here, so I think I would recognize this if it was Uganda. So I might try like a Kenyan national park. Okay, it was South Africa. Yep, let's reset that. Quickly get another good one here. Oh man, I can't believe we missed out on that 24k before. That would have been so nice. Now this one could be Uganda. Almost certainly, or is it India maybe? No, it definitely feels like Africa, I think. I think the guys are dressed like Africa, what you'd typically see in African fashion and everything, but yeah, it could still be India. I don't know. It's actually difficult to say. And then the cars are like peskily hidden, so it's also really difficult to say on that level as well. No, I'm actually thinking this is India. Just the infrastructure and everything kind of feels a bit Indian. So, I know this city's famous for having a lot of trekkers, so let's just try it. It was India there, but ultimately not going to be a good enough score for my liking. Let's go in again here and see if we can start off super strong. This one, this almost feels like Kenyan coast again. But these palms, you see that in like northern Sri Lanka sometimes. It also kind of feels a bit Brazilian, but I don't think it's there. It was Brazil. Okay, they were Sierra palms. I just didn't think that fence felt quite right for Brazil, but there you go. Next one here. Maybe Portugal or something like that here. Portugal or Spain. I'm just going to go like this. See if it's correct. That was correct. Okay, that's a good start. This will be our last seed for the game. These are Javanese roofs with the tiles, so I think Java is easily the best shout here. Let's go Samarang as a hedge. It was Bandung, so we're going to miss out on the 24k this time, unfortunately. Next one here, this is just Austrian bollards. Going to go like this area here. Was near Linz, that's still good. This one should also, I guess, be Svalbard. It looks like the last Svalbard round we had, so I'm just going to trust. Again, it was, oh man, it was, yeah, I don't think you get trekkers. I mean, like, guys following you in the Svalbard coverage. So that was Deception Island. Very fittingly named, I think it's fair to say. And the last one here was going to be some, is that a Victorian pull top? I think so. So, yeah, we're going to send it in to Victoria here. If it is Victoria, then slightly hilly. So maybe like on the border here, where you get some of those like kind of river hills. So I'm going to try that. And it was instead near Nil, which is interesting. I mean, yeah, you do get some hills near Nil. And there we go. That was a 18k to end off the video there, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know if you want to see more of this map, because I had a blast playing it today, and we improved our PB by quite a good margin. Guys, thank you very much for watching the video all the way to the end. I will see you guys in one very soon. Give the video a like, and till then, goodbye.